Welcome to the Brain Factor Podcast with Joy and Laura, powered by Meridian Healthcare, approaching wellness with heart, one life at a time, one community at a time. This is a science-based conversation about real life. Our goal? To leave you with a few nuggets of wisdom, smile on your face, and maybe even a laugh or two. So let's jump in. You walk into a room full of people and you're standing there and you're like, you start scanning the room and you're thinking, do I fit in here? Am I awkward? Like, can I connect with these people? Should I leave? Do I belong here? Welcome to the Brain Factor. We're so glad that you could join us today. We're going to unpack this now. We want to talk today about the concept of being the first liker. So there was this study done. Vanessa Van Edwards talks about it. It wasn't her original study, but there was a study of high school students. You know, we're a little bit past high school, but there was a study of high school students, and it was trying to determine what made kids popular in high school, which is pretty interesting.
That's hard to figure out sometimes.
Yeah, we usually immediately go to, were they an athlete? Do they this? Do they that? So they did this study of all of these high school students and looked at all the different factors. And when they came to a commonality amongst all of them, they realized that the people who were the most popular liked the most people. They had a long list of people they like. It wasn't like, I like these 3 people. They liked so many people. And that impacted the people around them because they liked them. And they'd be like, oh, hey, Linda. Hey, Bob. Hey, Sue. Hey, Lauren. Just through the hallways talking to them because they liked people, so people liked them back.
Okay.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So based on that, we look at the concept of the first liker effect, which means that when I walk into that room and I scan it and I'm feeling awkward and I don't know if I'm going to connect with anybody or anything like that, I should take that first step and try and connect with one and reframe it to, am I awkward? Do I fit into here? Like, how can I make someone else comfortable? So if I see you kind of off on your own or you're off on your own, I might walk over and say, oh, Lauren, I really like that gold shirt that you're wearing. Because I am now creating an environment for you that's kind of safe for you to say something back to me. And maybe you notice it like,
I like what you just said. You said, I'm creating an environment, right? So we're waiting to see what the environment is, right? Like we're just a participant in whatever's being provided to us. And we're just hopeful that it's going to be an environment where we like each other, where we have the opportunity, is what I'm hearing you saying, to set that stage, to say, oh, no, this is an environment where we like each other. And then let someone else follow suit versus waiting for it to happen to us.
Yeah, instead of just walking in and being a passive attendee, you're more of, you have a role, and that role could be to set the tone and to do the liking instead of waiting to be chosen. Exactly. I love that, waiting to be chosen. If you're standing there and you're waiting to be chosen and you're in a room of people and kind of just pulling off to the side, waiting for someone to choose you, be the chooser. Yeah, be the chooser. Yeah. And initiate the conversation, initiate the warmth, the smiling, the engagement. Yeah, because if you're there and you're withdrawn and you're giving off that vibe, like, I'm away, you're creating more distance.
Right.
You're pushing people further away, not intentionally. You're just like, I'm shy. I don't know what to do. So you start to avoid eye contact.
Yeah.
If you make eye contact, probably if I kind of walk up and I look at you and I smile, what are you going to do?
Right. I mean, I'm going to smile back. Even if I haven't made a decision about you yet. Right. And now the stage is set.
Yeah.
This is how we're relating to each other.
Maybe she's nice.
Right. She seems nice. She smiled at me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Versus, we have so much nonverbal communication. And we've talked about communication before. We covered nonverbal communication. But if we think back to that, and some of the unintentional signals that we send from feeling awkward.
Yeah,
from feeling, even if I'm like this, you're going to be like, she's weird. Like,
lack of eye contact.
She's not open. She's not friendly. She's not, and that is an added, like, it's an added barrier for somebody to even decide if they like me or approach me or have a conversation, Yeah,
and it expands beyond being in a room looking at people too, like replying to texts or things like that, or just overthinking things. Or not replying conversations. I don't know, even if you're on a call or something like that, or someone messages you and you're like, oh, I can be guilty of this, especially if someone says something kind of meaningful or complimentary to me and it's in a text. It happens even in person. I just will like withdraw because I'm like, off my game. I don't know what to say. I'm
so you say nothing. So you ghost them completely. That's Joy's go-to move.
That's great. I don't mean it.
For anybody who's fallen victim of Joy.
We apologize.
People, you create a distance. People might think that you don't feel the same way, or
or you didn't like what they said, or something. I really like what you're saying about initiating via text, because at this stage in my life, the last several years, you're meeting new friends, you're, developing new relationships. And sometimes with that newness, you're like, well, I don't want to message and suggest something. What if they say no? What if they don't want to do anything? And you're kind of like overthinking that, where what's the worst that can happen? Just throw it out. And if they don't, if they're not available, no harm. You've suggested something, you've extended an invite, you've shown warmth and friendship. Why do we have a tendency to overthink and clam up?
I do. And I'm listening to you say that, and it's like I've always felt like at our age, making new friends is like dating. Like it is. It's so weird. I feel like that's a whole separate topic, but like I just had to say that. But it is awkward, and it is. There is that pressure of like, and I do. We laugh and we joke, but I get what you're saying about text, because especially if it's something that you don't know what to say back, right? Yeah. If we're in person and I don't know what to say back, but it was a nice exchange, like I'm gonna smile. I'm gonna maybe manage to mutter a thank you or be like, like there's going to be some nonverbal communication there, but in text you're just like,
well, you don't like emojis. I have to say, the emoji is the modern day.
Yeah, it is.
You don't have to say a word. I love it.
Nothing. So I'm go back and look at our test. You can send this one. You have gotten emojis. There's 92 different smiles and different So sometimes when I really don't know what to say, I just send like an emoji reaction, and it's like I've responded. I've acknowledged, and emojis are kind of funny, and so you show a certain sense of warmth that is received
with no risk
at all,
because I said nothing.
I said nothing.
So
I'd be like, oh, I hit the wrong emoji.
I encourage you to expand your use of emojis.
Okay, that's a fair tip. That's a good tip.
Pro tip.
That's good. And it's good that you can find ways to interact that way, even if it's just with an emoji, to encourage something. Because let's face it, as human beings, we're built to belong socially. Yeah. We're built for community.
We are.
Our minds, our brains treat belonging as emotionally important.
Yeah. It does. And it's the same part of our brains that's activated by belonging, or the threat or lack thereof belonging, that is, physical threats and physical pain. Like it's a very real thing for the way that we are wired as humans. It's, so when it feels bad, that's real. Yeah. That's real. When rejection feels bad, and therefore the fear of rejection is something that we respond to. The fear of rejection is enough to shut us down. Is enough for us to not try.
That's fascinating. You don't touch something hot because you're worried about getting burned.
Right.
You don't enter into a risky situation where you feel like you could be rejected.
Right.
And you can feel socially drained even though nothing bad happened.
Yeah.
Because of that. That's a fantastic point.
Yeah, scanning the room, wondering what people are reading micro expressions. And if you have any kind of like neurodivergence at all, even just an anxiety disorder, I don't say just, but lower level, more common things, you're, anything at all, you're going to be scanning for changes in tone and micro expressions. And what did they mean by that? And, I did this and they didn't do anything back. And that's an active exercise.
Yeah.
You know, so you walk out of that environment totally exhausted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because when you walk into a room, and I think, because I go to a lot of like work type functions that are pseudo social, if I will say, you know, I mean, everyone is for a common purpose, but you might not know people, and some people are looking around the room waiting to be spoken to, right? And you sort of look for those cues, and you're like, okay, that person looks like they're eager. Maybe I feel more comfortable. Some people aren't looking around. I think it's maybe shyness or that fear, but they might be approached last because of that, because they're giving off vibes, so to speak, you know, as the kids say, that are, I don't want to be spoken to, maybe, but I don't think that's always the case. I think it's just, I may be shy or afraid or uncomfortable, and it's displaying itself in that way, but then it's self-fulfilling because people aren't extending that conversation or that smile or that warmth.
Absolutely.
So somebody's got to be the brave one, and someone's got
Who's
to
it
be
gonna
the
be?
liker. Who's it gonna be?
Who's going to be the first liker?
Someone's got to be that first liker, and you know, you can spot them. You know, there's always a few in the room when you see that. But how do we have an environment where there's more first likers?
Well, we had a conversation before we started rolling that I want to revisit for our viewers and listeners. And you were talking about how people can change the tone in the room and how we don't see this from the other way. Share that, if you will, because that was great.
When you know, we've all got them. Sometimes you work with people that are a bit more negative. They're always going to start in the negative place. I don't know how we're going to do that. It's going to be impossible. And we always say, the negativity is contagious. Yeah. But nobody ever says contagious positivity. You know, no one ever really refers to it. And there are very joyful team members who come in, and they always have a great attitude, and they're always ready to tackle something. And they say, okay, great, we can do this. Let's figure out how. And we never refer to that as contagious.
As one of the social contagions.
It's always the
That's
negativity.
A great point.
So how do we focus and reframe and shift that to the positivity being contagious? That you know, okay, you're right, we can do this, and maybe we all rally together and kind of take a little bit of that positive attitude and move forward, right? And work on that project or drop the negativity. But we just don't seem to have the same view of that.
Of the power in that, right? One person can walk in a room and do something and you're like, oh, they created a toxic environment.
Yes.
You know, that one person with that one action, so much power, right? And we're all going to respond to that. Why wouldn't we think that we wouldn't respond to the one act of warmth and happiness and joy that comes into the room?
Yeah.
And why wouldn't that create the opposite climate and experience, right? Because the absence of toxicity is not, you know, warmth and happiness, is just neutrality.
Yeah.
Right. And so like if we did the same thing with intention, and then I think that takes a step further, that even if it's outside of our comfort zone, even if it's not how we normally operate, that small thing that person did to make the environment toxic, you could do an equally small thing that's positive to make the environment joyful.
Yes.
And we have that power in any environment that we walk into. I think that's really eye-opening.
Yeah, it is. And if you think about it, you probably remember how people made you feel. Not what they said. You walk away from a situation like, oh, I feel good, or I don't feel good, you know, down the road when you look back at something.
Right.
You know, I always really liked hanging around with Laura because she always, you know, gave a positive vibe, and it made me, you know, feel good.
They're the Gen Zs again with the vibes.
Yeah, there you go.
Vibes.
Like, this is my Gen Z thing that I love. It's the vibes. And you can't always put your finger on it or say what it is, but this goes back to the popularity thing.
Right.
You know, the way people make you feel, and whenever I'm with that person, they make me laugh, or if they see me in a room, they wave, they smile, they reach out, they call me by name.
Yes.
They say
You're
something
actually
positive
like
about...
saying my entire list of notes that are in front of me. Those are all the incidents.
And then you're like, I want to be around that person more. I want to talk to that person more frequently. I want to invite them places because of the vibes. The vibes you're creating are positive.
Yeah.
Right. And
So
if you are that person, you might feel like you might leave that social exchange being like, oh, I was too much, or that thing I said was awkward, or I mean, I know they laughed and it was fine, but I'm so embarrassed about that, or I just came off like an idiot or whatever. But like you said, they don't remember those things. They just remember how it felt.
Yeah.
You know, and that, I think that if we can get past that sort of fear of rejection from awkwardness, and understand that if it's just the extension of warmth, that's going to be enough.
Yeah.
You know,
And that helps you to feel safe.
Right.
So that you can, like we said a little earlier, that you can interact because you're feeling safe about it now.
I don't think that the first likers are immune to that. I think they channel it and use it differently and push through it, right? Because I've known lots of gregarious people who have that energy and that vibe, and they have the same fears, and as you just mentioned, they leave and say, oh my gosh, was I too much? Was I, they're not immune to that fear of rejection, or immune to that introspection on how you presented in that interaction, but they push through and extend that warmth, or like first anyway, right? So that's the interesting part, is like, how do we do more of that? Because it's not that we're just going to expect not to have that, right? I mean, it's not going to just go away and you're going to walk into a room and not be concerned at all and live your life. But that fear doesn't outweigh the motivation and the desire to be that first liker.
Yeah.
It's interesting. As we look back to high school, a friend of mine, he's been one of my dearest friends since like 6th grade, but several years ago we were talking and he's like, well, you were always really popular in high school. I was like, what? I was popular? He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, I never thought of myself that way. So, well, that's why you were popular. But as I talk about this first liker and look at this research now, I was always looking for a party. For the most part. So I was friendly. I was friends with everybody. And when one set of friends went home, I found another one to hang around with. And I didn't fall into one particular category, because I hung out with this group and that group. And
whoever was doing fun things.
It's like whoever was doing fun things, definitely. Yeah. Or still awake. Because my mom would be calling my best friend's mother saying, is Lisa home yet? Yeah, she's home. I can't find Joy. It's because I found another crowd to hang around with.
So
pretty much like everybody.
Maybe we don't need to be first likers in all scenarios.
No, I'm not saying that. But I did. I really.
After midnight, you don't need to like anything. After midnight,
right? Nothing good happens after midnight. This is the rule. But I just liked everybody. I don't know, and I still do usually. I don't harbor a lot of stuff. My husband will be like, oh, you like everyone, don't you? I'm like, yeah. I'm not chatty. I don't do any of that stuff, but I just really genuinely enjoy people. And I think when I don't, I just move away from them really quickly and move on. And I just tend to like people.
Yeah.
I still don't believe I was popular in high school. So... So we can create micro connections in, everything that we're doing if we want to. If we want to be that first liker, like smiling, like you were just saying, using someone's name. I was thinking too, like, if you're sitting there and I'm thinking about Laura, and for some reason I can text her and say, hey, I was just thinking about you. And Laura's going to be like, oh, wow, she was thinking about me.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
I always also, if I know somebody told me something in a prior interaction, I enjoy a follow-up question on it. How was that trip you went on? How was your mom's birthday? These things that people share with you in other interactions. I think follow up and asking about them is also a way to extend warmth. And a way to create that connection.
Yeah.
If you remember, sometimes it's hard if you meet 100 people or you haven't seen someone in 6 months. But if you do find yourself in these kind of scenarios, I always think that's a nice way to kind of extend that warmth too, is to ask about something that they've shared that creates that, oh, you remembered, or that interaction was important, and that interaction.
it meant something you remembered. I was important enough for you to remember. And what I like about that in particular for somebody who might be a little more socially hesitant is then they do the talking.
Yes.
Right? You don't have to bring anything to the conversation quite yet, you know?
And I don't mean this in a negative way, but I find that people are most comfortable speaking about themselves.
Sure.
They're very comfortable
Oh,
speaking
yeah,
about,
that's not
you know, and that's not a negative. Exactly.
Yeah.
That is not a negative. But if you bring up a topic that they can't relate to, but if people are very comfortable talking about things that they've done or things that they've experienced or especially interesting, fun things. So I do think it is a good way to create that connection and break the ice, so to speak, in a way that alleviates some of the fear and tension on the part of the liker.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's a really good illustration of that cycle of first liker. It's, you know, so if you're coming into the room and the first thing you say to me is, oh, hey, how are you? Hey, how was that trip? Right? And I'm going to, oh, it was great. And then I tell you a story about it. Mm-hmm. Now I'm comfortable. You're comfortable. Yeah. And I'm thinking, oh, that was nice. Lauren remembered that and asked, right? Oh, and then I feel like you like me. Yeah. And now I like you back because you did that thing and that was nice.
First
liker
effect.
First liker effect, you know? Like, so, and we've taken all of that off all of that sort of waiting to be chosen and wondering what they think of you. And, you know, you're telling somebody right away because what we forget when we come in the room as we're waiting to be chosen is so is everybody else.
Yes.
Yep.
Like we forget that, you know, like the people we're waiting to make that first move and extend the warmth, that they're waiting for us to do the same thing. Yeah. And I think when we really realize that, we know that, like it's easy to sit around this table and say that, but when we really realize that, that frees us up to just go, okay, yeah, I'll break that ice.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I'll say
that. Everyone and there's ways feeling the same thing.
Yeah, I'll create the environment that I want.
And there's ways to improve your skills in that area too. Like practice at the grocery store. And if you don't want to be vulnerable in a social situation like of your peers or your work people, talk to the cashier, talk to, you know, someone at the gas station, or try to connect with people there. You know, and I said a little bit earlier about reframing, like, do I fit in? Am I awkward with how can I make you comfortable? How can I make you feel better? So you can stop mind reading too. Yeah. If Laura's sitting over there and has a certain look about her or whatever, and I sit here and I think, oh gosh, she's thinking that my hair looks stupid today. But she's really not. She's just sitting there. I'm not even thinking about me at all. She's just looking through, thinking about what she has to pick up her dry cleaning on the way home. What time's this meeting going to be over, type of thing. Right. Yeah, so you take that off the table when we do that. I like that you referenced something like really benign, like the grocery store. I actually noticed something kind of recently in the grocery store, right? I'm not great at extending that warmth, like out of the blue with strangers and things like that. I'm not as comfortable. I'm not as good as that. I have a friend who's really good at that. We're in the grocery store, and you know, the cashiers are always like, "Oh, hey, how are you? Did you find everything you need?" Or you know, if you're here in Florida and you go to Publix, they're clearly trained to compliment something about you, because they always say something about your nails or your shirt or something. You know, they find something or the food you're buying or whatever, right? And I just feel so hyper aware that like they have to. Right? They're saying that because they have to. Right? Yeah, they don't want to be chit-chatting.
They don't really
right
care,
now as much
so
as
I feel like
want to be chit-chatting.
So I just go like, no, you know. And my friend is always like, oh, I'm great. How are you? Is it busy today? And asks them a question back about. And you just see the whole, like, the cashier that was like, did you find everything you wanted? Like, all of a sudden they're telling you a story about working there.
Because even if they have to, don't you think they want it to be engaging and positive, though? Do you know what I mean? Like, even if they have to say something, then don't you think that they probably enjoy a response more than,
more than getting me at the register?
Yeah, or I'm like,
nothing. I'm not doing
I love
anything
it. They'll
this
ask
weekend.
me about something that, I love Publix. They're so great. Sorry for the Publix plug. But they, when they say, oh, I've never tried these. Are these good? Yeah, let me tell you all about it. You know, like, I enjoy that. At least I think they would want the time would pass and they would have a better experience too if you engage in that.
Right. And then imagine the difference going home from a shift going, oh, people are terrible versus like, customers were really friendly today. Like,
they're nice.
You know?
I have to be nice nicer.
Yeah.
You do have to.
That's the takeaway.
That's your
I'm
challenge.
not rude or mean.
No,
That's the
But
takeaway, the
yeah,
challenge
that
for
is
Joy.
that is.
So I would
definitely.
say, don't say nicer. Say I'm going to be less neutral.
I'm going to be.
I
less
think that's the
neutral.
lesson,
Yeah.
and that's the challenge to our
Maybe
viewers
it's a
and
lot
listeners
of,
too.
you know what though, and this could be a whole other episode, but the pressure to be nice is something you have to think about too, is that,
Right.
that there's an inherent amount of pressure that comes with like you just said, oh, I have to be nice, that's pressure. I have to be maybe warm, I have to smile back, engage.
Yeah.
No pressure.
This reminds me of that concept. It's a little bit off topic, but I think there's a Venn diagram here for sure
Okay.
of radical hospitality.
Yes.
Like that just, that I'm gonna go out on the limb. I'm gonna say the thing. I'm gonna do the thing. I'm gonna, fight the fears. I'm gonna, compliment you. I'm gonna, and I think if we can get to that place authentically, I think that's the other thing too about everything we've talked about.
Yeah.
Like, you got to figure out a way where it's sincere, because
Yeah.
people know if
For
you're
sure.
just faking it.
100%.
Or being-
If you're the first liker, you have to really.
You got to mean it. You got to mean it.
Yeah.
Like-
Otherwise, that's going to read fake.
Right.
Or, but you could low intensity. You could find the person that also looks, and nervous or uncomfortable as you, and build a bridge that way with just, oh, these rooms are tough, I always like to break the ice with something like that, which is authentic. You don't need to go in with the most extreme, warmth. Maybe just start where you feel is a natural starting place, comfort place for you.
Yeah, I think that's great advice.
Yeah, and I think that's a great place for us to wrap up too. Think about, how can I make someone feel comfortable? Try to build micro connections daily in what you're doing. Stop trying to mind read people, because that never works out for any of us. Look for emotionally safe people and practice going first.
Yeah, absolutely. So figure out what little ways you can do that, and then let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Welcome to the Brain Factor. Thanks for joining us again today.
Sorry.
Start over.
The great factor. Is what it says.
Brain Factor. Great brain.
Thanks for listening to The Brain Factor. Joy and I are so thrilled to be having these needed conversations. We'd love to hear your feedback on this episode, so if you could drop a comment or leave a review with your thoughts or any requests that you may have, it would be appreciated. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Living a healthier and happier life starts with one step, and we're excited to be on this journey with you. Until next time.